I'm Glen Swanson. I'm a pretty big fan of H.G. Wells' classic story, The War of the Worlds, especially the 1953 George Pal big screen adaptation. Ever since I can remember, that film has always captivated me. As a kid, I grew up watching it on television, in syndication, through afternoon showings. I even remember picking up an 8mm black and white film of it and showing it on my projector. It was also one of the very first model kits that I picked up. Some of you might remember New Eye Studio from long ago. I bought this when I was about 8 years old. It was my first kit experience with Vacuform. It turned out okay, well enough to keep all of these years, mainly because I cherished it as being the first model kit that realized in 3D real form of the classic Al Nizaki shape from the film. Al Nizaki, of course, was the art director of the famous film. He gave us the Martian war machine, which has been reproduced since that time in various forms. Here's one larger one here that was cast that I picked up at some garage sale many years ago. And of course, you had later on some of the commercially made products, such as Pegasus line of model kits. We have the 1/48 scale Martian war machine, complete with green segments where you can add electronics. This one I built and decked out with a Tenna Controls board to light it up and make it sound. Then you also have the 1/8 scale Martian kit that's in vinyl. Both of these, of course, you can buy pre-made. They've been out for quite some time, and you can also buy them in kit form. There have been other garage kits, resin productions, and so forth that have been produced. This one here is one of my favorites. This is the John Tuckey sculpt, his interpretation of the classic Martian, produced by Exo Facto by the late John Tuckey. And this one was painted by Steve Rioaz, and it turned out, I think, quite well. Again, it gives a slightly different interpretation as far as what's going on below the waist. It's got very strong legs, which would help it escape after it got the axe in the film, as opposed to kind of the slug-like interpretation that's given by the Pegasus films. But as you can see, the number 3, even in these designs here, is carried throughout the film. Recall in the film, General Mann mentions about the Martians kind of travel in groups of 3. You can see it in the 3 lens segment of their eye, the 3 sucker fingers on their hands. Even if you look at their body, you can see kind of a triangular form with their torso here. The Martian war machine, of course, is triangular in shape, right down to the 3 repulsor rays that allow the Martian war machine to levitate. You also have the 3 points of destruction, starting with the blaster ray that emanates here from the Cobra neck. And then, of course, we have the disintegrator beams that come out of the wingtips. So 3s are very important. And I think it's important that there be 3 models. We have the model of the Martian war machine. We have a model of the Martian, and now we have a model of the electronic eye. And this is what I want to talk about. Oh, the eye. It's an incredible design given to us by art director Al Nizaki as part of George Pal's classic 1953 film, The War of the Worlds. The electronic pulsating eye that emerged from the belly of the Martian war machine into the farmhouse to give us another wonderful scream by actress Anne Robinson. It survived decapitation by an axe at the hands of Dr. Clayton Forrester, as well as dissection by the scientists at Pacific Tech. I know when I first saw that film and this particular design that I had to have one, but it took me a while to get to the point where I could actually make one. Our first efforts to recreate an accurate scale replica of Al Nizaki's classic eye design was this. This is a 1/3 scale replica that we generated using Fusion 360 in Blender. So it's a very complex shape. The shape is organic, there's a lot of curves to it, and all that we had available to us were captures, clips from the film. We also designed an electronic board for the eye. They're all powered by a remote control that controls both the eye and the sound. There you can hear the pulsating sound along with seeing it. It's pretty eerie. The eye wouldn't be the eye without the sound and the light. Once we built the 1/3 scale replica of the eye, We took it to Wonderfest last year in 2022 to gauge the reception of the kit. People really liked it. They enjoyed looking at it. They said, I want one. And so we felt very, very confident that we could produce a full-size studio scale version of the kit. We generated a Shapeways master, and from that we contracted with a caster to make the molds to produce the kits. We produced 5 initial kits, which we have in our hands right now. With those kits, we're hoping then to be able to mass produce the kits to the limit of the molds, which is about 40 kits total. At this time, we're taking pre-orders for the kit in order to cover the cost of the molds and the production of the first 40 kits. So we hope that you will purchase one before it's too late. To do a project of this scope, it is not a trivial effort. It takes a lot of time, a lot of experience, and a lot of money. Fortunately, we've had access to all of these things to help us in creating our studio scale replica of the Martian electronic eye. Among the backers of our project has been Vincent DeFate. Now that's a name that many of you in the science fiction world are probably very familiar with. Vincent DeFate is an amazing artist, and he's also a big fan of War of the Worlds. Over nearly half a century, he has been recognized for that, receiving multiple awards, among them a Hugo. He's been regarded as one of the world's leading artistic visionaries of the future, and we were so delighted to have him behind our project since we started it. Among the things that he's helped us with is he's created 3 original works for our project. These original pieces of art are going to be sold as prints. Each one will be signed and numbered in this limited edition. The first print that he produced was a collage showing 3 of the Martian war machines advancing in the wilderness with the eye popping off to the side. It's an amazing print. The second one is a more traditional classic pose showing the Martian war machines attacking the Los Angeles City Hall. And the third print is one that some of you probably are not familiar with, but it's essentially depicting a scene in which these guys, these small little models that I have in front of me here, are placed on top of a large map. Basically, what that scene was is a scene that was prepared for the film, but it was never filmed as far as I know. Originally, the map room sequence in which we see military officials using small little plastic pieces to mark the positions of the Martians globally. Originally, what they were going to use were these little models, exactly this size. Indeed, they were funded, they were made, over 100 of them, but they were never used. So what we've done is we've recreated those models as part of our fundraising effort, and Vincent DeFate designed an original painting that will depict these small little map room Martians in this scene that was never filmed. So we're really delighted to have that particular print. So we will be selling those prints in 16 by 20 inch size. Again, they will be signed and numbered, limited edition to 40 prints each. So they're extremely exclusive. So I hope you'll be able to purchase one of these, if not a set of 3 of them, to help offset the cost of our model. And again, we wish to thank Vincent DeFate for all of his efforts in helping us realize this model and make it a reality. Excuse me. Got a little tickle in my throat. You guys okay with that?
My entire 40-year career has been predicated on science fiction. I never wanted to do anything else, and in some nutty way I've never had to. I've logged decades on shows like Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, The Orville, among others. In my collective career, I've been a makeup artist, a graphic designer, a visual effects guy, an illustrator, and maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm not done yet. Who knows? But, you know what? When I weigh it all out, I always think of George Pal. When I consider where I've been and where this life of wacky has taken me, George Pal. George made War of the Worlds in 1953, and it's been an engraved part of my creative consciousness ever since. I run War of the Worlds while I'm working at least once a month for the last 50 years, and it's only gotten better. It's a gorgeous catalog of another era, indelibly etched in celluloid The wardrobe, the hair, the affectations, the production design, larger than life, even more now. Now, I love film design. I'm a student of film design. Take it from me, there's only a handful of science fiction designs in the pantheon of the old-time classics like Harper Gough's Nautilus, Hua Chang's Time Machine, Matt Jeffrey's Starship Enterprise, and undeniably Alan Nozaki's manta ray-shaped Martian destroyers. Look at this, look. See this? When I first saw this, I almost did a spit take. It's a replica of a prop used in publicity shots for War of the Worlds, and I've only been waiting 68 years to own one, and oh baby, how sweet it is. Now, if you're as big a fan of War of the Worlds, and as big a chump for awesome production design as I am, you're going to want one of these. But how? I'm going to tell you. The boys here, these guys, my friends, are offering this exclusive as a premium and to raise money to complete a studio-scale replica kit of the ever-loving roving Martian electronic eye from the classic farmhouse scene. So, I guess I'm going to need one of those too. Where does it end? Anyway, in the immortal words of H.G. Wells, read the info keenly and closely, utilizing an intelligence greater than man's, yet as mortal as his own. See you in the future. And remember what my dad said to me that kept me going. This stuff will rot your brain.